Welcome to today's video. This is so much fun. I feel like I invented something. I've never seen anyone else do this. So I think you're gonna really enjoy today's process. This is part one of a two-part vlog where I'm gonna take you through the entire process of how we achieve these beautiful, loose, abstract backgrounds that in part two, we will later integrate with our watercolor portraits in mostly real time. All right, so first let me describe the bones of this process and what's going on the screen. I've started by laying down my colors using very light values. So you can choose any selection of colors that speak to you in the moment. On this day, I was considering the fact that I wanted to play with a palette that included pink as an alternative to red in the harmonious color palette of red, yellow, and blue, or in this case, as you'll see in a minute, pink, yellow, and cyan, the alternative to the primaries. Because I'm using the backside of an old sketchbook page, which is something we're going to talk about a lot in a little while, there are a few marks where the work from the prior page had rubbed onto this paper. This is 100% cotton sketchbook paper, which I'm also going to talk to you about later in the video. But for now, just know that it's good, solid paper that needed a job. We all need a job, don't we? Okay, that was really cheesy. Anyway, you can see I'm starting to add in the cyan now, or in this case, it's I think it's phthalo turquoise from Daniel Smith. And I'm just having a great time organically laying down marks and water, tons of water. This is adult art loving Playground Central. We get to go in here, throw in all variety of colors, let them mix and integrate with one another in a way that only watercolor really can do beautifully. This is what watercolor was made for, and we're using it exactly to that end. You're going to see later how much this very random selection of placement of colors is going to serve this process. My only thoughts here in the moment are just being free with the mark making and trying to leave a central area that's got the lightest amount of value in terms of values 0 to 10, lightest to darkest. That will ultimately be the spot where I will likely place the portrait. And we're going to get into that in great detail later on in the video as well. How many spoilers can I put in this thing? All right, now a word on why abstract art and portraiture. I don't know about you, but my husband has often been confused about my portraits. I know this might sound like he wasn't supportive of me, but he really is. He likes the work, but he finds it very strange to hang pictures or paintings of people we don't know in our own home. And he's not wrong. I started thinking about how it is a bit strange. And the way around that is for the portraits to be not merely a one-to-one copying of the face of a photograph, right? So that's kind of what led me into loose portraiture, thinking about the concept. My husband's great about that kind of stuff, y'all. He always opens my eyes to things that I would not otherwise see. Pardon my Southern accent. It's in no way mocking. I love a Southern accent. I love me a good Southern accent. So you're going to hear it a bit throughout this video. I hope it's okay with you. So that was what initially got me thinking about loose portraiture, and I started looking into it, and I really fell in love with the styles of different artists that I've talked about many times on this channel. Artists like Paulina Bright and Agnes Cecile, certainly. Her work is art. Yes, it involves faces of usually women, but there's such an abstracted nature that focuses on color and this ephemeral sort of feeling that emanates from these portraits that you're certainly not looking at a stranger's face as a one-to-one copying from a photo hanging on your wall going like, who's that? Is that Aunt Ruth? No, that's a chick from Instagram that I've never met before. Yes, I'm hanging her on my wall. Yeah, that does seem strange. Okay, this is the salt part. As you saw, I keep a big container of salt, large grain salt, and I just slap that stuff all over the wet paint. I think when I've seen artists do this before, they wait until it's more dry than this, but I like to do it just from jump. And there's so much water on this painting that it usually takes a good 4 or 5 hours to dry all the way to the point where you can scrape the salt off, which is the next thing we're gonna do. So yeah, and you can see here the size of the granules. Whoa, what was I doing? I was a little wild with my hand winging around there. This next piece coming up, which is the next day for me, but 2 seconds from now for you guys, is going to be talking through my process from collecting the dry painting onward. So let's get into that. Yeah! Okie dokie pokies, it's the next day. And after I set the painted sketchbook page aside with the water and the salt and the paint and everything on it, I went on to do a bunch of projects for the rest of the day. So I figured clean my desk and chat with you guys. This will be just about a 1 or so minute montage of desk cleaning. I love to see these in videos. I like to see what people are doing in their environments. So I'll show you what I'm doing in my environment. How dorky. Remember, girls, eternal dorks, unite. All right, so we'll do a little music, we'll do a little montage, and then I will see you in about a minute, and we will continue with our abstract portrait background and all the conversation about supplies and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. See you soon.
Close all the curtains, stay on the phone. We are the monsters, holding you still. We are the gallows up on the hill. Answer the question, is God on your side? We'll be together, we're the rebel tide. We are the monsters, there's no place to hide.
I should explain now too. This is a really old sketchbook that I had going back to the beginning of my painting journey. So it is a Kilimanjaro watercolor 100% cotton sketchbook, and they no longer make this sketchbook. I guess after Joe died from Cheap Joe's, they just sold everything and they're no longer making these. It's so sad because these were the best sketchbooks. This was my first page. This was from, gosh, way back, maybe 2022. I started this one, and the paintings in here are, as you can see, a little cray, right? I don't know what I was doing. That wasn't even watercolor, really. Here's one. This was okay. This is not a sketchbook tour. There's like stickers in here. I was working on heads, Loomis, noses, kind of never finished this page. All right. This is a nurse I worked with. Oh, poor thing. She's so much prettier than that. I was excited about it. She was probably like, girl. All right. And there's my hubby. I painted him. You can see my style was very kind of like cartoonish. But I thought I was going for realism here, so I just hadn't learned yet. This is my first one and my second one of my husband. So And they were fun. All right, anyway, why am I showing you all this? All right, let's move on. So, but as you can see, I have all these back pages that are unpainted, and this is beautiful paper. And I was like, why am I wasting this, right? And because some of them have like transfer from the other piece, I was like, well, I need to do something that will work with that. I mean, you can see the watermark goes through. This is nice paper, and the back shouldn't be wasted. This one's almost perfect. So anyway, I decided I would do this. Here's one that I did initially. So now I'll show you the ones that I've already finished. Oops. This is a prepared background, and what I'm going to do is use white and black to write different scripture on this, and then I'll probably hang it up. I really like it. This one has a lot less white space than the others. And I wanted it to be sort of rainbowy and then kind of a black, which is, I guess, an absence of color, or is it all the colors? I'm not sure, but it is pretty cool, I think. Anyway, there's a lot you can do with these backgrounds, more than just making portraits on them. You saw how we created this initially with the paints and the salt, and just to clarify, what I'm using is like a very chunky salt. You can see the size of the granules, but if you want to use a littler salt, that'll create a whole different pattern. And let's take the salt off of this one, and then I want to show you some of the other ones I've done and how different it can look. Just take your fingers, make sure your hands are very clean with no lotion on them or anything, and just kind of feel your way along. It's so funny because I've been doing this now for like a few weeks, many of these, and I constantly am finding little granules of salt everywhere. You might have to vacuum also when you're done, because they'll end up on the floor, they'll end up kind of everywhere. But it's all right, it's just salt. It ain't gonna hurt nothing, y'all. Shout out to that one viewer who hates the word y'all. I see you, girl. But I'm still gonna use it. Now, how have you guys been doing this week? This is a real-time tutorial, not tutorial, this is a real-time video. So we have a lot of downtime, therefore I'm going to be talking with you a lot about stuff. I hope you don't mind. I'm thinking about starting to live stream just so I can hang out with you more when I don't have, you know, some kind of specific video idea to make. I was thinking it would be really fun to just kind of live stream and paint together. What do any of you think about that? I made an account with StreamYard in order to start live streaming. So it's just a process of testing out the equipment and everything, but I'm very hopeful to start doing this soon. So as you can see, most of the salt, maybe you can't tell, but most of the salt is detached at this point. And I'm just kind of feeling around. And the salt itself, rubbing against the other pieces of salt, helps to remove it. You can see the really interesting, unique, and one-of-a-kind texture that's created with each different painting. If you aren't interested in investing in those highly granulating paints, this might be another idea to kind of create a granulating look. Now you might get spots like this. I don't know if you can tell, but it's just kind of very thick with salt residue. This takes a little longer. I just kind of take my time and run my fingers over the area till it comes off. And it's not all that important either if there's a little bit of salt residue in these areas, because the portrait is going to go kind of in the center. So, and obviously that's where I left things a little bit lighter, but there's no telling where it's all gonna, how it's all gonna play out. This is all very organic and spontaneous, this sort of work. And that's what makes it so cool and exciting, I think. in my opinion. How are all of you feeling after the events of last week? My husband and I both have been pretty down initially, and now we're feeling very uplifted just because, you know, I think we both prayed about it. We talked about it a lot, and the fact that for those who are believers, the end of our life on earth is not the end of life. It's merely the beginning of eternity, which is a gift like no other. I've been thinking a lot lately about the tragedy of folks that aren't believers, simply because for these folks, this broken life on this earth, this planet that we inhabit at this moment, just for a very brief blip of time, is everything. This is everything. And I can't imagine, I mean, I don't have to imagine. I remember the feeling of hopelessness I used to have before I met Jesus, at the thought of this earth being all there is, and the good and bad things we do here on this planet being what it's all about. It just seemed so unlikely and so strange and so kind of hollow. But for those who profess to be saved and who walk in daily relationship with Jesus, seeking to be guided by his word and the work the Holy Spirit does inside of us, we know where we're going when this brief life on earth ends, and it's so much better than anything this place can offer us. Not to say that this time here on earth isn't valuable, because it's very valuable. It's kind of where we lay out who we are as people, and we sort of choose sides, good or evil, you know? And for people like Charlie Kirk, we know what side he was on, and we know where he is. And as tragic as it is that his wife and his precious children have to carry on without him, I feel that as another YouTuber that I dearly love watching mentioned in a video the other day, the enemy thought that by taking out Charlie Kirk, he was going to stop the beautiful changes in humankind that were coming about as an inspiration through Charlie Kirk, and people being led to Jesus, people being led to salvation, and trying to live that example. That wasn't killed when Charlie Kirk's life was ended. Instead, the enemy created 10,000 new, strong people who understand what Charlie was here doing and are going to pick up that baton and carry it. So all things work together for good, for the good of God, for those who believe. And I hope if any of you are still feeling down because of the events of last week, you'll remember this. All right, so we've got all of our salt off. I'm just kind of tapping it off. And this is what we're left with. And it's gorgeous. A little sparkly with the salt left behind, like salt residue a bit left behind. It's okay though, don't worry about it. All right, we're gonna set this aside. And I'm gonna use my little Hake brush or Hake brush as a little broom. Sorry, Winsor & Newton, I'm sure this was not what you intended when you made this brush. And then after I do this, of course, I'll clean it out really well and get all the salt off of it, desk residue and everything. I'm sure you're enjoying watching me sweep my desk literally with my brush used as a broom. This is what real-time videos are about. I'm here for it. Come sweep my desk with me. Don't we love YouTube titles? All right, so we've made our little pile, and now I'm going to take my garbage can and just sweep it on in there. Ah, so satisfying, right? All right, we are good to go now. We have our sheet ready to rock and roll. How's that? Is that in frame, kind of? Gotta clean this. Let me go wash my hands. I'll be right back. So now we're gonna find our inspiration for this portrait. We know that our colors are pretty bright. This is a pretty colorful one. There's a lot going on. So everything in art, as I've learned, has to do with balance. So I'm gonna look for a portrait that will balance this background most appropriately. And kind of what I'm thinking is something really simple that's going to be heavy with just line work and not so much with detail, because there is so much going on in this one. As opposed to, let me show you another couple that I've done. All right, so here's one. This is one of the first ones I did. And I just used it to like make an eye. I was playing with it, you know, just to see what I could do. I love the texture I was able to get here. Like in this area, I used a lot of water along with the salt. But look at these colors, you guys. Look at those colors. I hope I don't have smudges on my screen. Look at that. Just beautiful, right? I mean, not the eye itself, but the rest of it. Okay, let's move on. Look at this one. Oh, this is so pretty. Look at that texture. Maybe I should add some light. Is it too dark? Oh my Lord. Sorry, guys. Look at that. So pretty. And I feel like I already can see like where a face is coming out here. That was not intended. I think that's where we might have our portrait, like for this one. And look at that. So pretty. So, okay, now we got that. And do I have any more in here? Oh, yeah, and then today's. Oh, look at this one. Ah, that was years ago, guys. Let's not. That was, I think, my first attempt at gouache with some like Walmart gouache. I think the perspective's a little off. What do you guys think? Okay. Oh, and then I have one more. So I have all this paper to use. I'm going to make all of these. This was my very first attempt. And I was seeing if it would make sense to add like patterns or not, but let's see if I can make this. All right. So you can see how like the background, the face sort of is just emerging from the background. And it's very pedantic. I know, like she's just like looking straight forward and that's whatever. But I wanted to see like what I could do. Why does the eyebrow look so weird on that side? Oh, that's not her eyebrow. That's like her brow ridge, but the eyebrow would have stopped like there. Anyway, I love how the lips turned out on this one. Like they're kind of in shadow here. And then they sort of just lost edge. We have lost edges just fading away. The eyes, and then this would be the light side. This would be the shadow side, but then there's like this bright. I don't know. You can just play with it. I really love abstract art, but I love portraiture at the same time. So this is my own take on it. If you've seen Talia Stanton, what she does is portraiture with abstract elements all throughout. And I don't want to be a copycat, but I want to find my own way to achieve that. And that's what I was doing with this. Now we got to go to Pinterest, and I'm going to shamelessly plug my Pinterest account now so that you might go follow me there. Here we are, Watercolor by McCraw. We've got so many of you guys came and followed me after I asked if you might want to in one video, so I'm asking again. Come follow. These are my own portraits, just a handful of them that I put up. You may have seen some of these in videos that I've done, but mostly I'm going to tell you what the benefit is to following me on Pinterest. It is this. I have these very curated boards on here that I made for my own practice, but oh my gosh, you guys can like benefit so much from these. Sorry about the glare. Let me turn that. All right, so like portrait planning, I have 1.3K pins, and they're all separated into different categories. I've got boards like, these are some that are AI, but sculpting portraits, some for the 100 Heads Challenge, and then I have like 197 pins of black and gray, and they're all curated to be good examples to draw from. They've got decent contrast present in them. You saw I recently painted this for a video. They're all different kinds of people, different ages, different racial backgrounds, people with jewelry, with clothes, close-ups of heads, just everything. And it just goes on and on and on. And there are no ads, which is the really good part. Here are some paint-worthy photos with dramatic lighting. So if you're looking to do something that has cool lighting, these are the ones I've selected. So yeah, these are just small examples. But one of the coolest parts is this. I have 527 anatomy pins, anatomy head to toe, and they're all broken down by, we have 51 different mouth pins, and some are collections that other people have put together. Anyway, some are in watercolor already, because sometimes it's easier to paint from a painting. Just a little free tip for you there. And then we have, let's see, like noses. All these noses. And they're all in one place. You don't have to go looking for them. I've already collected them for you. So yeah, I mean, you don't have to follow me to come and check out these boards, certainly, but if you'd like to, that'd be great, because hopefully one day I will be able to build a following here on Pinterest if my art ever is good enough. That's the prayer, that's the goal, right? All right, so now let's choose our portrait. I'm going to talk through kind of what I'm looking for. I want to go to our, probably for this one, what I've been interested in doing is a semi-front facing head. So I have a lot of these, something along the lines of this, where it's essentially front facing, but you get a little bit of the side for dimension. And so that's kind of what I'm wanting to work on right now. Not a direct straight on front face, like kind of like this, where you don't get a whole lot of the sides. I painted her before for a video. It was a different photo, but she's so beautiful. And now, let's see. I've been thinking about doing this one. And I like that there's not a lot of detail in this one. It's just light and shadow. And I think that would serve us well for this, because there's so much detail, so much color. I've painted her before for a sketchbook spread. Her smile is just unbelievable. Look at this kid, sorry. And like these I wouldn't choose because there's so much detail. You know, you could avoid the detail, like this man, like there's so much detail that it would be silly to do, in my opinion, at this point anyway, and like something with so much going on already. She might be good. If you want to find out which one I picked and which one I'm going to draw out for you guys in next week's video, be sure to subscribe, turn on your notifications, and stick around so you don't miss part 2 of using these abstract, gorgeous backgrounds to create portraits that are loose and beautiful. I thank you so much for being here with me today. It was a true pleasure, and I hope that the rest of your day and week are absolutely beautiful. Bye-bye.